Well, we're going to take a little break from our usual, my discussing a topic of legal interest with another attorney, and I want to speak directly about lead paint poisoning. It is affected in the city of New York, where there are over 500 different housing projects, the home to tens of thousands of New Yorkers, and the issue of lead paint is a rather remarkable story over the last 6 months. Going back to 2011, when the federal government required that the New York City Housing Authority inspect apartments where they suspect there were lead paint used, and also where there were youngsters under 7 or 8 years of age. And over the 6 or 7 year period, coming up until the fall of last year in 17, both the de Blasio administration and prior to that, the Bloomberg administration were told that these inspections by certified inspectors were being done in these individual apartments, thousands and thousands of them. And then we come to find out, oh, wait a second, they weren't done, even though the housing authority said they were done. Pretty serious stuff. The truth of the matter is the Federal Environmental Protection Administration has said that the number one environmental health threat in the United States is lead paint poisoning, affecting, by their estimates, 1 in 6 youngsters throughout the country. So this is serious, serious stuff. Almost all studies and reports, both legally and scientifically, have indicated that youngsters, male and female, under the age of 7 or 8, are really more susceptible to lead paint poisoning. And the reason is their bodies actually are naturally smaller during their growth years. And also that they are able to both inhale as well as ingest by putting a piece of lead paint chips from lead paint that may be in their apartments, on the floor, in the corner, in their mouth. Now, whenever I mention this at meetings, I always reflect on the fact that I was born and raised in the Bronx, specifically in the Parkchester community. And during that period in the 50s or so, I remember very much doing exactly what the threat now today is, and that is taking and putting chips of lead paint. I've not been able to accurately describe the taste, but it is not an unappealing taste, and therefore dangerous for youngsters to be either breathing or ingesting lead paint. We have a card here which we will hold up, and you'll be able to see it more closely in both English and Spanish. And it indicates, and this is, I think, quite important, what the symptoms are for an individual that in fact have ingested or eaten actually or breathed lead paint. This is for children, for newborn infants, and also for adults. I'm going to read for the moment here, and you're welcome at any time to ask for. We'd be very happy to send these along. When we go to meetings in schools and other community groups, we always make this card available to you. But as far as youngsters are concerned, here are the primary symptoms. Developmental delays when youngsters get into grammar school in particular. Learning difficulties. Irritability. Loss of appetite. Weight loss. Sluggishness and fatigue. Abdominal pain. Vomiting. Constipation. Hearing loss, and seizures. Those are the primary symptoms, and if any of your youngsters and you suspect that your apartment has lead paint and has any of those symptoms, I very, very strongly recommend that you take the next step for making sure that a test is done for your youngster. As for where lead paint is, it's everywhere. If you have lead paint on your walls, it's on the walls, it's on the windows, the sills, cabinets, floors, porches if you have them, windows, wherever it is, that's where those dusty particles and chips of lead paint are normally found. What do we recommend that you do? And this is very important. If you have youngsters, particularly 7 or 8 years or under, you should make sure that you have a blood screening test for lead paint. This is something that our law firm can help you with. One of our senior paralegals, Swanee Batista is her name, has assisted hundreds and hundreds of families that are concerned about getting the test. There are two options that you have for the test. Either you can have the New York City Housing Authority, through their various locations in the 5 boroughs, test your youngster. It's a quick blood test. Or you can, and I would recommend if you do happen to have insurance, that you have it done by your private care physician. I say that because first you're going to get the results more quickly, and secondly, just to have a certain degree of security that those accurate numbers will come back. After a blood test, it ranges between essentially a 0, meaning there is no sign of any lead paint, up to, 45 or 50. If an individual youngster comes back with approximately a 5 or under, it is considered to be normal. If it's between 5 and 10, there are concerns because that represents an elevated lead paint level in a youngster's blood. And if it's anything above a 10, then it's considered to be a seriously elevated and something of concern. So it's a very straightforward test, but it is something that especially parents in housing project, New York City Housing Project Authority projects are by large numbers getting their youngsters for the testing. That's the only way that you can check, and it's best that you do it as early as possible. So the question is, what do you do if you suspect that you have lead paint in your apartments? Very important. Talk to the building superintendent or to the manager of the project that you are residing in, preferably to indicate it in writing. It's better to have a document that says on a certain day you made a request to the building management or to the building superintendent or whomever in the building that you keep records that you in fact made the request, that an inspection take place. And then the city will send for an inspection, and they will come and inspect your apartment. They will take samples from the walls, and they will do their evaluation. So that is the way that it is determined as to whether there is lead paint in your apartment. That is what should have been done for the past 6 or 7 years. That was said that it was being done, but it wasn't done. And in some instances it may have been done, but was not done by a certified inspector. So I want to show you here, which is in both English and in Spanish, the lead paint poisoning brochure. 10 questions in very layman's language, explaining the most important questions relative, some of which I've touched on here, for you to review. We are more than happy to send a copy of this to you, as well as I had mentioned earlier, a copy of the symptoms for youngsters that may be evaluated, as well as adults and newborns. So this is material our law firm has provided. And finally, I give you a number which is different from our standard number, which is 2-Dearie, 1-800-2-Dearie. This is the number to contact Swanee Batista, who is extremely knowledgeable in this area and can assist you to get a blood screening test. Swanee Batista, 718-543-1100. We're here. We're happy to help. We're particularly focused and have spoken at countless meetings in schools that are nearby where there may be housing authority projects, where we're able to speak to youngsters and get them for their screening test. and we're more than happy to do it for you. Thanks very much.